Thank you again for joining us for the Game of Stones Season 2, Episode 6. I'm proud to say I'm here with an esteemed friend, colleague, a great leader in the industry, Mr. Victor De Oliveira from Discover Marble and Granite in Boston, Massachusetts, and Florida, and Connecticut also. Luckily been friends and doing business since the early 2000s. We both started. We're about the same age. We're both 35 years old. No, I'm kidding. But we started about the same age at around 2000, 2001.
Yeah, about the same time, yeah. We're the same age, actually.
Yeah,
on that out the other day.
No, and I saw your birthday. You were 30 days away from me.
Yeah.
So, so we began, well, back then I was Spectra Diamond Products, and I was selling tooling, and I had just started selling some machines. And I think you had matrix saws.
Yes.
And like 3 or 4 of them. And the cards always go out on those things. I remember we were always doing that, doing a little bit of service, doing a little bit of tooling. Wonderful family business. Your sister's involved, your brother-in-law, your father's still there. It's amazing.
Still there at 88,
He's a great guy. And so we've
my wife too, she's the backbone of our operations up north.
And your wife, very nice family business. And I've had the pleasure of growing with you together, watching you grow. I know in the 2006 you got like one of the first robots in Florida,
in the industry,
right? And then we were doing our thing, but it was Spectre back then, and then we went and we became Poseidon. And as soon as we became Poseidon, you always gave us an opportunity. You got the Miter Splash, the Viking, the Guardian, which is still running.
Still running.
2015.
Everything's still running, which is good.
So we stood the test of time, luckily. And now we're, then we came out with a T-Rex. You put one in Florida. And now you just got your 5th CNC from us, so we appreciate that. And and we're really excited about the future and see how we can continue to grow with you. But tell everybody your story. I'm interested too, because I didn't know some of the details. But how'd you get pulled into this industry that once you're in, there's no getting out? Right.
Oh, no. I always joke around about the same thing. Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure. And like you said, the relationship goes back a long time. And I think that's the key in this industry is the success comes from the companies really that can maintain that long-term relationship and can service their customers well. And you guys have done that. And proof of that is we're here 20 years later. So
24,
so thank you.
24, 25, more than half our lives, really.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
So, Stone was not really in my plans. Being in this industry happened out of something really bad, which was 9/11, because my previous life, I was a commercial pilot.
Wow.
That was my goal, was to fly for the airlines and just have that massive responsibility of flying big airplanes full of people. That there was something about it.
So you actually flew 747s?
No, I did. I didn't get to that point, but I was at a point where I was flying charter, just getting started into smaller commuter airlines type of thing. And unfortunately, after 9/11, that industry completely changed. Almost a third of all pilots were laid off. And it really went on a downturn for approximately 1 to 2 years before it really bounced back. So the reality was that I was without a job. We had a newborn at home. He was 6 months old. Lucas, our son, our first son, and really just needed to survive, put food on the table. So during the conversation with my brother-in-law one day, just sitting on my mother's dinner table, I mentioned that, hey, I'm willing to do whatever. And he was a fabricator at the time, working for another company.
This is Bill.
Bill, yeah. Right. So he said, hey, why don't you go out, sell, if you can sell countertops, I can help you on the weekends. We can cut, polish, let's work together and I'll help you install it. And that's how the conversation started. And I was like, yeah, hey, that might be something that can get me through this phase in the aviation industry. Went out, sold my first job, second, third, and the rest is history. It really took off from there. Within a couple of months, I knew there was no going back. We just had enough business, rented a 5,000 square foot warehouse, made that commitment, and that was my back was against the wall.
What year was that?
That was right after 2001, because that conversation happened a month or so after 9/11, and The company was founded on December 4th, 2001.
Wow.
So that's, a couple of months after that.
So a couple of months too after I started.
And just like any other business, right? We brought in my wife, my sister came into the business eventually, and then even my dad came into the business. So we had the whole family. It was a whole family affair. And then the company started to grow, and we wanted to expand. So we opened up a location down here in Florida.
How did that happen? Because you guys were up in Boston.
Yeah,
right?
It was up in Boston.
And
so
then
we
how
came
did randomly like Fort Myers, like
I know.
which was a great market back then because it was up and coming. There's nobody here.
And honestly, for Florida, it's one of the best markets. It's still growing. There's a lot of land.
I live on the West Coast now.
Building is constantly. I mean, it's Florida. You got the boom and bust of Florida, but overall, it's a great market. I knew that the East Coast, Florida, so Miami and Fort Lauderdale area was a little bit saturated already at the time. I wanted a new market, a market that was growing, that was building quite a bit, and the West Coast was it. So Fort Myers was just a decision to be between two good markets. Have a good market in Fort Myers, but also you have Sarasota to the north, and even Tampa, but then Naples, which has a lot of high-end opportunities there that right now we really do well with.
That I was selling tools to you guys, and you guys were already really well established in Fort Myers. So, I mean, that's just a testament to how successful you were able to scale the company.
Yeah, it was quick. I mean, if you go back to that time, right before the crash of 2008, we had really a 4-year, maybe even a 5-year, just explosion of real estate. And real estate became, the place where people were putting their money. You had the dot-com bust of the late 90s, early 2000s. And I think people learned a lesson there, and I think the real estate was where people were looking to make a fortune, or at least their retirement. And so that fueled really our growth in the early years. The Northeast, if you see 50 homes being built in the development, that's great, because we just don't have the land up there. Where you come down here, and
it's all built
we
out.
toured a couple of those developments, and you're talking 800 homes, 600 homes. I'm like, wow, this is unbelievable.
Crazy. I remember those good old days.
Yeah, exactly.
Now Fort Myers is like a mini Miami.
I know, it's grown a lot.
Packed,
it's a different city.
You used to get off the exit, and there was like no line at the light.
And then you had is these big vacant lots with a lot of cows, and not anymore.
Right. I remember those days, man. Well, one of the things that I love about this industry is just the variety of culture. It's international. Right. It's always, you never know what material is going to come out from which country. You make a new friendship or an alliance with somebody, very tied to a beautiful place, Italy, you get to go to. And then Brazil came on the scene, because when we started, it was a world of granite.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Gallo Veneziano.
Can't
keep your hands on Gallo.
And Ubatuba.
And then they started selling stuff from Brazil, which you have ties to because of your family.
Exactly.
And I haven't been actually to Brazil, but I speak Portuguese because when I started the tooling business, so many, I like to call them underdogs, right? Latinos, Brazilians, and really they're the ones that helped make me who I am today, pretty much giving me a shot as a young guy.
Exactly.
And hey man, they want to help me succeed and live that American dream, and I'm so grateful for that. So another thing is, you also have an amazing story coming from also to live that American dream from Brazil. What part of Brazil is your family from?
So most people know Rio and São Paulo, right? I'm a little bit further north, a state called Bahia, which if you think about it, it's like the Florida of Brazil. That's where usually people go to vacation. It's the coastal area, beautiful beaches and tropical. So it's kind of the vacation spot of Brazil. It's the Florida of Brazil. I think that's one of the other reasons why we ended up in Florida. I think this felt like home.
Yeah, and then you also have a very nice apartment in Aventura, which I happened to grow up in that city during high school. Yeah. So I'm very familiar with it. A beautiful area. Tell us how you decided to get a place in Miami.
Yeah, that's an interesting story. Well, that's the wife, right? She loves this side of Florida. But what happened was we owned a house in the West Coast, and originally the idea was that we would move down here, but obviously the headquarters became the Northeast, the Boston market. That outpaced the Florida market, just because of the consistency, right? During the downturn, we stayed consistent throughout all of that as far as growth, and we were able to grow through the recession back then.
Wow.
And that became really our headquarters. That's where everything was happening, and that dream or idea of moving to Florida really never came true, but we bought a house in Fort Myers, and we enjoyed our time there when the kids were young. When they started to grow up, and we were like, okay, what are we going to do now? You know, there wasn't a whole lot to do in Fort Myers when we were there during school breaks or weekends or whatnot. So we ended up coming to Miami quite a bit. And then we said, look, if we have a place in Miami, you know, our family can come and stay with us when we're in Fort Myers, which we go there often, obviously. We can go and stay with them. And actually, it worked out pretty well because now we get to spend more time together, because instead of having two separate houses, you know, a few miles apart, now we get to, you know, if they want to come to Miami, they're staying with us. If we're going to Fort Myers, we're actually staying with them, you know. So we get to spend a little bit more time together, which is great.
That's good. Yeah. And it's always a safe investment.
Yeah.
Miami.
We love it. We love the people. We love the culture. It is a fun place. And plus, you know, we know a lot of people in this market, both on the business side and the friendship side. So I always get to do this, you know, come down. It's great to be able to come down for the weekend and actually have, you know, get to do a little bit of business and network with the, you know, with the brains of the industry, you know, people that are in the forefront of the industry that understand there's a lot going on, a lot of changes. And to me, it's always, you know, get in front of the right people, get in, you know, seated in the right tables, and I think the network will happen and you get to learn a lot. I think that's probably one of the best little kept secrets that I've had in the business, is just to be able to network, get to know people, see what they're doing, get new ideas, come back and implement those ideas.
What kind of tips would you give to somebody thinking about starting their business, the entrepreneur? What are some of the things that you feel like helped you in your journey?
Right.
And what advice do you think you'd like to give?
Well, you know, if it's in business in general,
because a lot of people know who you are, they don't know you, but they look up to you. They know who you are in the industry. You have a great national reputation. Whenever I mention Discover Marble, and
I'm a big believer of giving back to the industry. So it doesn't really matter if it's a competitor, somebody who does the same thing that I do, vendors, you know, our clients, our customers. Everybody needs to be treated fair and good, and that's my belief. So if I can give back somehow, and that's what I've done through the years, is just to be able to network with the right people, talk to the right people, and offer, you know, to bring them in if I can help in any way, you know, to solve a problem. And on the other side of that is I'm always out there searching to do the same. And I've built some really great relationships over the year in this industry. And I think that's the added benefit of being in this industry, is that you really become good friends with your vendors, with your customers. Even it's a small business, right? Even our employees, we have great relationships with them. For the ones that have been there, that have moved on, we still stay in touch. I think it's just treating people, in a fair way, the way they want to be treated, and it's amazing how many people are willing to help you achieve your goal.
I think the main message is pretty much be consistent and treat everybody with the same amount of respect. Treat everybody, and that's also something that I see with some of my closer relationships with people that I admire, and I see that they're successful.
Right.
We have those things in common where I answer my phone the same if it's an employee, a vendor, a customer, the big sale you got to make, or the little sale, or the guy or the office person that's calling you about the guy that's showing up
The industry has changed a lot. You know, it's definitely not the same when we started, for sure. You know, and for anybody new coming into this industry, it is more challenging. It's a very complex industry these days, whether it's regulation or the work itself. You know, when we came in, you talked earlier about materials, right? Brazil, Italy, that was pretty much it. I remember buying from vendors that had a list of colors that was probably 30 or 40 colors long. And that's it. Now, 30 to 40 different materials to buy, where now, it's in the thousands, right? Because of all the brands, all the different products that we work with. So it's challenging, for sure. You're used to just cutting natural stone. Now you got quartz, you got ultra compact porcelain, so it's a little bit of glass. I mean, you name it. There's recycled countertops.
Oh my
There's
gosh,
a little bit of
with
everything
with
out
the glass
there.
and the resins. And no, it's definitely changed. I kind of miss those old days because I feel like there's so many materials now that things have become like standardized, if you will. And I think that one of the allures of the industry when you and I got into it was the ability to go to Brazil, meet a new factory. They had some very different colors, and you could call it Discover Gold.
Yeah, you could name your own.
You created the value. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
you created that margin, you created the value. It was how good you were at marketing.
Right.
And you could really create a lot of value, not have a lot of competition because who else has the color?
Yeah, exactly.
And now it's kind of like, that's been taken away a little bit.
So going back to what I said earlier, so now that networking, right? Getting out there, getting to know your vendors, getting to visit their facilities, it's more important than ever because you need those relationships in order to grow your business. Over the years, I think what we leveraged extremely well was those relationships. It's the ability to, associate our name with the biggest names in the industry that allowed us to create, acquire credibility early on, and drive our business. I remember when quartz first came around, we partnered with the right companies, and we, when every fabricator in the market was saying no to quartz, I'm a natural stone guy, we were the very first ones to really dive in and say, hey, this is new. I've always believed in innovation. And when you talk about innovation is not just, technology, it's what products to bring to your customers. And so when porcelain came around, when ultra compact came around, we were the very first companies in our market, one of the very first companies to really make that commitment and jump right in and say, yep, we want to be at the forefront of that wave.
I believe also too, something that I'd like to mention, because you're very humble, but I think that one of the things that you're also very talented in is the sales and marketing aspect, because Discover Marble just has great marketing. And I know that even 10 years ago, 11, when we put some of those machines in Boston, the marketing was on another level. And how did you, or what did you study, if you studied, strategy for marketing? And what really got you, because I know you're passionate about the sales and the marketing.
Yeah, it was always something that I thought we needed. We needed to get our name out there. We needed to present ourselves professionally. Even when we were small, marketing to me was a way to, present ourselves like we wanted to be in the future. You know what I mean? So whether it was the literature that we were bringing to our customers when we were visiting showrooms and or our website.
It's almost like marketing manifestation.
Yeah, and
right? Be who you want to be.
Be who you want to be. You don't have to wait to get to a place to then say, oh, now I got to get my marketing right. No, I think the marketing drives who you want to be, and you put that image out there, and obviously you're going to be held at a higher standard. But that's the good thing about business.
You're
you
forcing
want
yourself to be at that level.
Exactly.
With the marketing.
Now it's different. There are so many different tools you can use, and we're exploring every single one of them right now. My wife Christina is the master behind so I think I'm old school. I don't think I evolved for the social media and everything that's out there right now. I'm more of that traditional marketing type of person, but I am learning, and she kind of took over that role. So she manages all the social media, all the content that we do, and even now all the print stuff that we do as well. That's all passed on to her. She does a much better job than I do. And I think that's the key, right? It's identifying in the company or in the business who are the people that can do a better job than I can, right? And I said this the other day to somebody that I was talking to, that I don't think I can do anything in the company anymore better than anybody that does that role.
That's 100% focused on it.
I can't. I cannot do accounting, I cannot do HR, I cannot do the equipment, I can't do anything in that company better than anybody that works there, including sales, which I'm very strong with a sales background, and I've always loved sales. We do have a sales manager, Sarah, who's been with us for close to 20 years almost.
Wow.
But she, she does such a good job in what she does that I can't, I run the meetings, I'm the person that I think sales is in my blood, and I will never give that up. But at the end of the day, our sales team, our team is really, really good, and I can't do their job better than they can.
And there's also, like I love sales, right? You know that. But there's also a difference between salesperson and sales manager, sales leader, sales director. And those are two different roles. And I think too, people confuse sometimes the roles, right? You got like marketing, sales management, sales strategy, 100%. Or salesperson.
Yep. And
I think that making that distinction and being able to step outside as well as a leader, as an owner, get the right people to fill that in. That's something that at least for our business, it's very niche. It's stone equipment, which is very particular. So you do have to have like a good technical know-how. But yeah, I've seen that. We've began to scale our sales department with SOPs, and that's another important thing.
Without a doubt.
Which we're blessed to have started a software. And I think we mentioned to you before through Kaplan Consulting. And John Kaplan, who came on board, president, also a good friend of yours.
Yes.
And reeled you into the Rockheads as well.
Oh, yeah. Great relationship with John.
We put together a whale processes software catered for the stone industry, which is amazing. So it's like a subscription-based that we already took all the consulting customers, got all the SOPs together for sales, for job descriptions, for process. And we talked about this, I think, a couple months ago,
we did.
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, we really got to get these processes. So this is definitely something that I'm going to enjoy showing you later on. But we got this great software. It's got AI built into it, and so you can add to it. So it's basically like adding a Chat GPT for fabrication shops.
That's great.
And if you're a Poseidon customer, it's got all of our SOPs and troubleshooting videos and knowledge maintenance for the machinery, everything, training, software, CAD/CAM. And so we're really excited about that because I think that processes is one of the toughest things in a business, period.
Yep.
And I think the reason is, I don't know if you watched that show ever. It's called The Profit with Marcus Lemonis. It's great. It was really entertaining. It was like 10 years ago, but now he's got a different show. But so he said the 3 Ps, right? Like people, processes, and product.
Product, yep.
The product is never a problem. The people are phenomenal, right? Usually. The process is the problem. And I think that us as business owners, we like to go after, our energy goes after the things that are tangible, that we can see will make the progress, like making that sale, or making sure we help out in the collections, or making sure we go and help that customer who's got the problem, in my case, with a piece of equipment that we want to troubleshoot. But sitting down in front of a computer or getting with somebody in your office to say, hey, we got to make this process.
And document
it. Sit in front of an Excel, and it's like nobody wants to do it. So I think this is something that lacks in all business for that reason, that you want to put your energy into the tangible thing. And this ROI on this process making is never that enticing.
It is a cost. It is a cost, and then also you have to have the right people, and you have to lead, and you have to execute. And once you put together a process, I think maintaining the consistency. You can implement any process you want, but it breaks down no matter what you do. So now you got to create this structure to support the process, right?
The habits.
There's habits, there's training, constant training. Yep. There's KPIs you got to have. You got to track your numbers. You got to know if the process is working, if it's not working. You have to be open-minded. Not always do we have the best ideas. I like to go out and get ideas, and if somebody's doing something better than I am, that's what I want to do. I want to bring that in and implement that process in. But we're at that stage right now, and we've gone through that once before. And I think when you grow, there are different levels, and you're going to hit a ceiling at some point, whether it's at 15 million, 10 million, 20 million in sales. And every time you hit that ceiling, there's going to be 2 things. Obviously, cash is king. Cash flow, you're going to need to grow. So that's number one. You got to watch that very closely, so your finances and everything has to be aligned to support you in that journey. But there's going to come a time that 2 things are going to get in the way. Number one, people. Sometimes the people that brought you to the stage that you are right now are not going to be the same people that are going to take you to the next stage. And that is a difficult one, because a lot of the people that came along with us, they've been there for a very long time. And how do you now say, okay, this is not the right person that's going to take us to the next level, right? So you can do a lot of different things through training, make sure that they're growing alongside of, of you. And also process, I think, if you don't have a process, you're going to lose a lot of money in this industry. There's going to be a lot of remakes, recuts, right? Your equipment isn't going to be maintained properly. You're going to spend a lot of money on maintenance. You have to have a process for everything. And right now we're designing a process to the point where we have a process on how we clean the building, how we mow our lawn, to how we install a countertop. So it's got to be all in, right? I don't want to have to explain things over and over again. We want a system that people can get plugged into from day one and learn and have a place where they can go get that information in the company, have a place where they can go see, am I doing this right? We want that from every little action, every step along the way in our company.
And then scalability is easy, control is easy.
Without a doubt.
So I think another thing that we need to improve on in the industry, and with Kaplan Consulting, we're working on building out a program for production managers. There's no program for a production manager to learn manufacturing principles. No. So I always say the production manager is usually the most trustworthy fabricator.
It's true in every shop
it's
that
the
you
guy
go
that
into.
you trust to open the shop.
I've had
the
great
keys
friends,
to the tool closet, right?
Yeah, I've had great friends in this industry that called me up one in particular called me up one day and said, "Hey, I think I found a solution to my problems. I hired this guy coming from a big manufacturing company, understand black belt in this and that, and you name it, right? Six Sigma. He had all these beautiful words and stuff. And at the end of the day, he didn't survive in the industry because it's so complex. You're a guy that started with you early on. You always identify that one person who's a great fabricator who then understands the process and can become your lead guy in the shop. Yeah. The downside to that is sometimes they don't know how to truly manage people. It's one of the biggest
or they didn't take some of those manufacturing courses that are useful to analyze the process.
And then understanding that at the end of the day, he's just not putting out a countertop. That's not his goal. His goal is to make sure that we do it safely, that he keeps the processes in check, the systems, they're not breaking down. So it's very complex. I always identify the right person, somebody who's willing to learn, wants to grow, and understands our industry, and then we have already a current relationship because they've been with the company for a while. I find it a lot easier than bringing somebody from the outside and trying to teach them our industry and our processes. It's just not a fun process. I've seen some of my dear friends in this industry go through it, and it's usually not that successful. But having a company like yours thinking about our people and how we can train them better, especially you guys, because anybody in the industry that has access to a lot of different manufacturing facilities, a lot of shops, they see the rights, the do's and the don'ts, right? What's right. You guys have seen it all out there. And you can kind of pick the best and say, hey, this guy does it right. Why don't we take that, plug it into our training program, and let's help our customers train their managers to be better, right? You want to have retention. I mean, your equipment, you're going to get a much better quality experience for your customer if the equipment is running properly, right? It's well maintained. The operator is a good operator who can not only maintain but run it properly. Now you have a satisfied customer, right? But if you just put a piece of equipment in and let your customer do whatever they're going to do, you're going to have different results in each one of those locations you put your equipment in. So if you could take that experience, and help your customer improve on the ROI and the overall experience of running your equipment, you're going to have a loyal customer.
Yeah, and that's one of the key things that, inspired us and fueled us to come up with SOPs in conjunction with Kaplan Consulting, which is a part of our group of companies. We wanted to, and that's what I saw, was that whether it's my equipment or somebody else's, the problems were the same. Just lack of management SOPs to managing operators in a CNC or in a granite shop. Because, as you well know, when we started, it was bridge saws and a lot of guys doing everything by hand. So almost impossible to measure truly the square foot output, right? Because everybody knows how much they can cut. Yeah. Because cutting's easy. So everybody focuses on, I can cut 1 billion slabs a day, But really, how long does it take you on average per type of job, per type of material, to get the square foot done, to get it ready to be shipped out the door. How many labor hours, right? That's tougher because back in the day, the habit of going to the shop in the back and you'd say, okay, guys, we got 30 kitchens to do this week. Here's the plan. Work hard and work fast. Like, right? I mean, because then you would get confronted with, oh, how come that kitchen took this long and that kitchen took, if it's the same material? Oh no, the shape of those pieces are a little, they needed more time, and
that
this material's more fragile and this and that. So it was always like, you couldn't quantify, I think, by hand. Now CNCs came and they made that easier to quantify. Routers and saws, and then even with that though, I see like the same bad habits sometimes in shops, like operators, tendency to slow down the feed rates.
Yes,
so that the next table swap, they don't have to do it right away, right?
Yeah, we struggle with that, and that's something that we're actually working on, which for you guys, one of the biggest things that you can do, that you can give back to your customer, is exactly that. It's just create an SOP to operate your equipment. And very few companies that sell equipment do that. They'll sell you an piece of equipment. They'll send somebody to install it. That installer usually is the trainer in most cases. He'll spend a few days with our technician and out the door they go. And there is no, hey, this is what you're expected to produce with this piece of equipment if you run it at this speed, right? With this blade, with these tools, we're seeing great results from our customers running it this way. There is no manual, there's no SOP. So coming from the aviation world, everything was by the books, right? You're keeping your air speeds consistent. You got altitudes. You're calculating for the weather, how hot it is today, how humid it is. All of that has an impact on how the airplane performs. And as a pilot, you have to know all of those, capture all that data before even conducting a flight. So if I'm flying from here to the Northeast, when I'm taking off from Florida, it's one set of data that I'm plugging in. When I land in Boston and I'm taking off again, it's a whole different set of data on how much weight I can carry based on how hot it is and how humid it is, right? Density, altitude is a big thing. So I come from a world that data and numbers is key to the outcome of what you're doing, or even life or death type of situation. You see it all the time where pilots make a mistake of miscalculating the performance of that airplane for what they intend to use. And then I get into this industry and we're buying pretty expensive pieces of equipment, but yet it's not coming with that set of data on how to run and operate it efficiently to get the results we need at the end. So we kind of have to do all of that engineering, that reverse engineering ourselves, but I think there's huge potential there for you guys to give back to your customers and say, this is how the machine is operated. These are the speeds, these are the tooling that you need.
Yeah, one of the things we noticed as a machine company over the years was also, everybody comes, our competitors, with a checklist when they're doing a sign-off, when they're doing a training. And I just feel like a lot of times too, at the end of a training, you'll ask the operator, you remember this? This is what we went over, and the guy will say, yeah. He'll sign it, check it off. Because also, I think workers are a little proud. So they might not be 100% clear, and they might not say, let's review that point, or let's review that principle, et cetera, et cetera. And I noticed that happens quite often. So what we decided to do is I always am watching a lot of business stuff, right? And you've heard it too, right? The one thing that makes you a talented business owner is getting ordinary people to do extraordinary things.
I agree.
And what that propelled us to, hey, how can we do this better? If you lose an operator, shoot, now the machine's down unless you get the right training. You don't want to run it with a 30% watered down version of the guy that left that you said, hey, teach this other guy how to use the machine. It's not, so he's not certified by the company that makes the machine to really operate the machine. So we said, hey, let's do the virtual reality. And so that's why we began building out, which is a large undertaking.
Which is very cool,
building out the virtual reality.
I've tried that on, so it's cool, cool looking.
But think about it, now it's more comfortable to learn. Imagine now you're really not distracted, because once you've got those goggles on, like you're in that world, So we found that the learning quality is better also. You can do it in a comfortable office setting, so that's going to help with training guys that run the machine on the machine. And then you got CAD/CAM programming. How could we solve that and also make that easy? We started training third-party outsourcing companies that can remote program. So now they're trained. So you lose a programmer for whatever reason, you got to program 20 jobs.
That right into
boom.
Yeah,
connect you with them.
Smart.
So, so we're trying to find those solutions. You know, it's, to your point on the T-Rex, which is our huge innovation, the hybrid cycle, where we're literally I'm proud to say we're revolutionizing the stone industry by. I was jokingly saying the other day, because the slab goes upside down into the table on vacuum cups, right? I said we turned the industry upside down by putting the slab upside down. We literally put it upside down.
You're definitely doing something extremely the opposite of what the industry is outside the box.
Right. So we're very proud of that, and the results are amazing. It's proven. It's not anymore a test. We've been tested on lamination jobs, build
That's innovation,
lighters.
right? That. You know, sometimes you taking a process that everybody uses the same way, and then you flip that slab upside down, and it gives you more. It opens up a new door of like, hey, especially with miters and other things that you can do. Get into the corner cuts and all
amazing,
of that.
Amazing. We've found, I say, because a lot of these things, truth be told, we weren't even thinking about it back then, because miters weren't that popular when we first thought of the concept, and then it just made sense, like upside down, as we're testing, like the measurements are going to be perfect. You don't have to worry about probing times or thickness evaluations of material. And so, and the integrated sinks is amazing now. That's one of our favorite things. Our customers are going crazy, so they're so happy. They're saying, you don't know what we used to go through to do these integrated sinks. Now, in 20 minutes, you can cut a single integrated sink with aprons.
And that kind of work is more and more of where the money is these days.
I think it sets you aside too.
You can't, I don't think you can, you know, probably you can still be in business and not work with that type of work, but eventually, I think for every fabricator, it's not going to be an option. If you want to survive, especially if you want to scale,
you have to do the custom stuff.
You're going to be selling to customers that need and want that kind of work. So there's no way around it. You're going to have to make the investment in the technology. You're going to have to make the investment in learning the technology, training your people, and getting the right equipment. That's one of the keys too. You got to have the right equipment.
The other thing that we love about it too, from just an easy management, because that's where our mind's going always. Make it easy, make it easy, make it easy, make it fun for the operator to learn on VR goggles. Make it easy for the programming. But then those two issues we talked about on a dual table T-Rex, keep the machine working nonstop. So now we don't have any downtime ever to consider, and we can just set two easy rules, which is don't slow down the feed rates, and two, keep the machine moving always. Keep the spindle running nonstop.
That's the key.
Easy peasy. Now you don't have to worry about, okay, let me measure how long it's taking us to unload a table, reload a table, and then we don't have to deal with that. So that's the thing that we're very excited about, making that process very easy, and I appreciate all your support over the years, and I'm excited for the future. We got a lot more to do. And what can you tell us about the great, cool things that Discover Marble is up to? Because I know that you guys are getting more and more into the custom stuff, the custom natural stones, the marbles, because we're in Miami right now, which is a very hot market for high luxury condominiums. We're going to go visit a shop, friend of mine too, over 25 years. He's got a T-Rex, and he does zero, doesn't have any composites, no porcelain, no quartz. It's all natural stone. It's very impressive. It's almost like walking back in time, because it's all quartzite.
You can probably only find that here in Miami, actually. And it's just a different market.
And I went in there, and I'm like, it's beautiful vein cut travertines. You know, unfilled and honed and polished, and just all they're doing is marble. All they're doing is granite, quartzites, and they did the penthouse in the Aston, a bunch of units in the Aston Martin building. That was a huge building in Brickell. They're doing a lot of this interesting fluting. I see that's becoming extremely popular. All of these things can be done, of course, easily with the T-Rex, which is cool, because like we're seeing that people used to say for us, this is great for cookie cutter stuff. But what we're seeing is, and it's very exciting, is that the more custom, the better it is, the more efficient, the more reliable, the better quality. So
we're experiencing a similar trend in the Northeast, where the natural stones are definitely making a comeback, but it's just not your average entry-level materials. It's the quartzites. It's more of the higher end marbles and things like that. So
for it's mitered stuff.
It's interesting. It's almost like, so take a color, for example, Taj Mahal, right? Quartz companies all of a sudden thought, okay, that color is the newest trend, right? More of a neutral tone, not white, not grays. It's what the market wanted. And then a lot of the porcelain guys and even the printed quartz guys said, whoa, let's start making a lot of these colors. And actually, I believe that because these samples all of a sudden made its way into showrooms and displays in the sintered and man-made materials, it's helping fuel the natural stone, business again, because all of a sudden, there's a natural stone in that color. I want the natural stone. So your higher end clientele, that's what they're looking to do. So it's kind of bringing a lot of those old time colors back to mainstream, but more on a higher end level, right? Because they're not inexpensive colors. They're very expensive colors to work with and very difficult materials to work with as well.
And you're bringing me back as you're speaking. I'm thinking of back in the day when quartz became popular and there was this fear factor, scare, like marketing scare tactics, right? That was argon, radon.
Everybody used that. Yeah,
it was like, the radon gets emitted from granite. Which I learned something the other day. It was very interesting that the Natural Stone Institute had invested like over $1 million in research, something amazing like that, to basically understand and come up with scientific foundings that was completely false.
Right. Yeah.
And that was completely wrong.
Yeah, the Natural Stone Institute is definitely a great resource to. I mean, I remember when that happened. Actually, we used a lot of their materials, and I remember, I don't know if it was videos or print only, to actually put everybody's mind at ease, because they tried to use that against the natural stone industry, but natural stone is natural stone. It's been around forever.
Literally millions of years.
It's safe. It's fine. Yeah.
It's like the closest thing
beautiful.
to Earth.
I mean, just think about it. It's a piece of rock in your home. And it's got, every piece is unique. It's one of a kind. You're not going to repeat that same pattern. The same.
And you go into some buildings, like I go to Italy a lot for vacation as well as to visit all. I have wonderful relationships. I'm proud to say most of the vendors that I started with are still the same vendors of Poseidon today.
It's a great thing to say. Same thing here,
If you go into some buildings, and they'll polish the floors and stuff like once every couple of years, but it's like it could have been installed the other day. In other words, the stone is so timeless, it's so beautiful.
You're seeing structures built 800,
it doesn't lose
1,000 years ago, and they're still.
It's still gorgeous.
It's still natural stone.
Amazing.
It's natural stone. Yeah.
So I'm definitely happy to see the natural stone trend pick back up as well.
Yeah.
But so that's great that Discover is also branching out and getting more into the custom.
Even our name, Discover Marble and Granite, but we switched over to Discover Surfaces a while ago because of the different applications. Variety.
Yeah.
Discover Marble and Granite, it's great. The name came about because when I first started in this industry, people were discovering that a piece of rock could be cut, polished, and used as a countertop. Because they were so used to either formica or chlorine or a composite-based material. Now all of a sudden they can have a natural stone. And so the Discover name came because of that. But what I was going to say is now there's so many different applications for that natural stone, whether it's vertical applications, not just countertops, flooring, there's outdoor kitchens, you name it. There's a lot more applications, and there's more variety of materials. So to say that we're just a countertop, marble and granite company, it wouldn't be fair. We're truly surfaces all across the board, and whatever application
people need.
They need.
Because surfaces, you can cover also, you're covering porcelain, you're covering quartz. For the customers that, some people just come in, they know what they want, they've seen it somewhere, that's it, it's done, they want that. And I think there's a place for everything. Like there's also beautiful porcelains.
Just think about this, you get a color-coated slab, which nowadays can cost $12,000 for one slab, right? You can basically have that exact same look at a fraction of the price of the real natural marble. So it opened up the door and go more mainstream with that material. So there is a place for everything. If you want that look that would cost you $50,000 for a kitchen, you can get it for $8,000, for the same amount of square footage.
That's what they said. They were doing a kitchen, they were quoting something like what you said, Calicut or Venetina or something.
Oh yeah, those slabs are extremely expensive.
It was like $110,000 for the material, and instead they spent 30-something.
Yeah, it's going to be a fraction of the cost. And you know what? it looks just like the real thing. It looks natural.
They got really creative, which was something super cool. They took thin porcelain panels and they covered cabinetry with it.
Yeah, that's another thing.
And then they covered doorways with it because it was nice and light and thin.
Without a doubt,
awesome. I had never seen that, so that was pretty cool there.
It is a cool industry. We're really blessed to be in this industry because it's it's different. You know, I love it. I love natural stone. When I travel, same thing. I'm always, you know, mystified on how they actually, because I'm working with this material now, with the technology we have now, and to go back to Europe and look at some of these works of art, basically from hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and try to imagine how they did it back then with limited tooling. It's just amazing. You know, it's a really cool industry.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Again, thanks for coming in. So thanks for making the time, and thanks for allowing us to be a part of your success, man.
I love to be among great people.
Thank you, brother.